I mean, this is going to make E.T. look like Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know what I'm saying?
What is Pops doing?
Bob Ross, you'll never see me tripping. Got the vision, I don't even need assistance. Bob Ross, all I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross. I be too calm for the drama. You don't wanna cause a problem, I'll solve it, Bob Ross.
Nice.
Nice intro. I like that.
Greetings and salutations. It's an ever-going project trying to incorporate. So my advice from my lovely wife, and you panelists can tell me what you think, was just continue to be who you are, which means your love of puzzles and Rubik's Cubes and the Tron light cycles, and Bob Ross is your like ASMR and you know the Star Wars, and just just be all of that. Now, if it doesn't make sense to some, it just won't make sense to some. So thanks to a wonderful panel for being with me tonight. Chris Persia wrenching for us. Oh, hail to Chris. He's the best. Thank you so much for everyone joining us. First up is MAGITEK Mags. Mags, hanging with me. How are you, lady?
I'm good. I'm fired up today. This has been a great day.
Bet you are. She is. She's just messaging me back all day. We've been having some fun and enjoying just the shenanigans that are out there. And then next to her is Mr. the Doctor, Professor himself. Ryan, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Pops, and I hope everyone watching and everyone on the panel is doing well. Today has been a great day for justice and peace in the Western world.
Amen. Amen, brother. Pacific, how are you doing, man? Great to have you popping in. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. And first time we've been together. It's so awesome. I'm such a big fan of this guy. Brandon, the anime guy, my friend. Oh, thank you so much for joining us tonight, man. It's awesome.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me today. And yes, today has been a day for justice, a day for victory. This is the culmination of 6 weeks worth of being called everything in the book by people who stand with a certain proven and now convicted liar and slanderer.
Yep.
Yeah, it
Amen.
continues just such a great week of stuff that I want to get to. So, and then there's IRONCASTER, my brother. Oh, he survived Halo and he still keeps coming by for all these other shenanigans too. I love you, brother. Thanks for coming in and hanging out.
It is so much fun just kind of hanging out and talk about all the fun stuff. I mean, yeah, we get through some bad stuff. We watch some terrible shows, but I mean, like I've been saying all along,
our brothers out there, Loki. Thank you, my brother, calling out Mac.
When we watch the bad stuff, it makes the good stuff that much better.
Just a little bit.
You know what? That is so true. That is definitely true. And then Troy Pacelli. Oh, Troy's the man. Thank you so much, Troy, for putting us in.
Thank you so much for having me here. I feel like I've been invited to the cool kids table. I mean, for crying out loud, 1K. Congratulations there, Pops.
Yes, what a week. What a week.
Then I'm on with all these people that some, I mean, like Ryan, first time I get a chance to talk to you, but boy, you and Brandon and Mags, just so encouraging over on the Twitters. I mean, you guys are always the first ones liking and sharing my garbage that I put out there and everything. I mean, you guys are so encouraging and awesome. And Mags, I have no idea what you look like, but you are an absolutely beautiful person just based on your character.
Well, see, Max, you just can't escape the angel designation. They're all after calling you the angel. You are.
Oh my gosh! No, stop.
You're the fangirl angel.
See, that humility just adds to it.
Yes.
If you saw me now, I'm red in the face. So it's like...
that is so
I
sweet.
can hear it
that
in your
so
vocal
sweet.
expressions. Yes, you are blushing.
Chris is calling out my Tron issue. I am unapologetically love that film. Like, I have no shame at all. and loving
It's a fun
almost
film.
Good, because Tron is a great film.
Yeah.
low spec Linux laptop with a
Woohoo.
penguin. Penguins are my favorite animal, so hail to low spec for coming hard. I love it. Thank you so much.
Very Linux of you.
Yes, it is. It is so awesome. So appreciate that. And says I just started watching Stranger Things because I avoid modern entertainment as much as possible. It's great. Yes, I want to touch on things. We're not here to do a really review of either product. We're not here to talk about reviewing Top Gun or Stranger Things, but I really wanted to start with that, and then we'll probably get to the Johnny Depp Amber Heard verdict, and then we'll also maybe try to touch on some of the Obi-Wan Disney stuff, kind of from the same perspective but in reverse. But first up, Top Gun blows up the box office. I mean, it was crazy. Ironcaster, last night you were talking about trying to get in to see this place, and you were like, there are no cinemas, there are no seats, and you haven't seen that in a minute. And I said, I only saw it for really a couple of screens for Spider-Man when Spider-Man first dropped, No Way Home. But it was really only a couple screens. There were so many screens. But with Top Gun, man, this place was just maxed out. So that kind of thing. So, Mags, you've seen, obviously, the positive reviews are everywhere and that kind of thing. You've seen Tom Cruise. Maybe he tweeted about, thank you to everyone, that kind of thing. So my big message tonight, and I'll start with you, Mags, is does everybody get that? Oh, we lost somebody. I'll probably be back.
Oh, Troy.
It was Troy. He'll be back. I'm sure it's probably something to do with his camera.
It's
what was your question again? I'm sorry.
Does this wake anybody up? I mean, some of these people seem like there's such a rabbit hole of like I said, I don't want to get down the rabbit hole of fan hatred here of the one company. He's basically calling us names every day. But it's like, does this wake other executives up? Does somebody go, listen, we need to do like they do?
I think so.
From that standpoint.
I mean, because look what happened over Memorial Day weekend. It destroyed the record. And it's just, maybe adjusted with inflation. I'm not sure the true actual number type of situation versus other top box office successes over Memorial Day weekends in the past. But at the same time, this should be a huge signal of saying, hey, we respect our story. We love our story. We know we have people out there that love this story. Why can't we merge that between the creators and the fans? I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but this should be a huge wake-up call to, the big movie studios, regardless of anybody's feelings about anything in life in terms of opinions on, the spectrum of life, so to speak, without going into too much detail. But, Tom Cruise respected the fans. He did the job. And that's the thing. I mean, it's just amazing. Anyway, sorry.
Go ahead.
I also think that in a way, this is something that the fans needed. Because,
yes,
for a lot of people, they've been pretty black-pilled on Hollywood lately. Fans, general audiences needed a genuine win. And I feel like this was absolutely it. This is getting back to that basics. It was the first, what really feels like patriotic movie in so long. I mean, the last one was what? American Sniper?
Yeah.
This was even bigger than that, because there was, so I only have a few people that I'll remotely still interact with that are in the actual critic circle. Talk about a snobby group, and gosh, that'll derail the whole conversation if we start going down that road hole. But they said two things, and I was so shocked they said this. They said, one, it was fun, and they said it was patriotic. They did not say that about American Sniper. They refused to. A lot of people were, even those kind of people were kind of put off on the pro-military, pro-gun elements of that film. That's how they saw it anyway. And this was one where everybody was in from the get-go. Ryan, are you surprised that even the critics appear to like this film?
Well, I think we're getting to the tail end of woke entertainment being popular.
Hallelujah.
Top Gun, by normal standards of filmmaking, was a good film. But in the age of woke entertainment, I'd consider it to be a great film. Now, I haven't watched it. I've only seen bits and pieces of it. But from what I've seen, it's a good 7 out of 10 film. Same for Stranger Things as a television series. It's a good 7 out of 10 series. But in our modern age, these good shows are considered great by our standards because of all the nonsense we have to deal with and put up with Mr. Mouse and the like.
Yeah, very true. And let's just say hail to Christian fandom popping in. Thank you, brother. Always
Hail,
great
hail.
to see your support. And low spec saying seeding to 0, south, northwest to and Obi-Wan. Nobody wants it, even on the high seas. Laugh out loud. Yeah. So
I
there's definitely a
have
lot
it,
of
yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah, just smashing the like button. Thank you, bro. Thank you so much for all of that. And you know, Troy, I think when we talked about even trying to fit in, you and I are on the same path. We both had plans to see this movie. The plans fall through. I don't know about you, man. The longer I'm waiting, the more excited I'm getting. And not because I want to expect it to be great. I just want to have fun. I'm more excited about having fun in a theater. That's what I'm most excited about.
Part of me wanted to vote with my dollar and support it on its opening weekend. But since that didn't happen, I'm okay with going the second week and voting with my dollar and giving this thing legs, because I think it's not enough for it to just do great in its first week. I want it to have the staying power too. You know, I kind of feel like there's something to be said for the timing, and I don't think I've heard anyone else that's commenting on this. There have been a lot of YouTubers commenting about how great it is. You know, Critical Drinker, all these others are saying great things about it. But I think one thing that's overlooked is the timing. You know, it's been put off and put off and put off, which, you know, that could be an area of consternation for fans, but it paid off. I think they waited as long as they needed to, and they let it go when they had to. And on that timing, this comes after things like Spider-Man No Way Home. China says, "Hey, can you drop the Statue of Liberty?" And they're like, "No, you don't want it? To heck with you. We're going." And they'll take a hit because it fits their thing. And I think that reinforced the decision that Maverick had to say, "Yeah, you know what? We're putting the Taiwan patch back on the jacket.
Yep.
To heck with you. We are catering to our audience. If you want it, great. If you don't, your problem, not ours."
Low spec is keeping my boomerism in. Yes, SNW stood for Strange New Worlds. I apologize, man. You got to keep up with me. First off, I don't watch any Trek. The only few minutes of modern Trek I have seen is only because of Loki, and he knows it's only because I wanted to see Picard get hit by a car.
Strange New Worlds isn't Trek. It's not.
Top Gun Maverick is a movie we're seeing multiple times. Thank you, Pacific. I appreciate the constant recommendations, and that's kind of how I'll roll with movies that I won't give money to. If it's something I don't get a screening to, I will just wander into a different theater, just so we're clear. And Chris agrees with you, Troy. Hey, here. Yes, I agree. Yeah. Let's see. Adega. Oh, Adega, thanks, bro, for popping in. Oh, can't wait to get his books.
Adega's good people. You should
Yeah,
subscribe
thank
to
you.
his channel.
Also,
Yes.
he's just dropping a new book, so definitely support independent creators out there. Like,
Yeah,
Adega.
if you guys, Chris, if you can get that link or whatever, shoot it up over there. We'll throw it up in there because I got 2 copies coming. I'm going to review, and hopefully he'll fit me into his busy schedule so we can kind of break down the book. So, Brandon, let me ask you a question because it seems like what Troy was saying, I think is a kind of a consensus. We saw a little bit with the pressure on Spider-Man. We know there was some pressure with Top Gun, and obviously the pressure with Top Gun was, you know, get in the theaters, you know, theaters are closed, put it on streaming, all these horrible business decisions along the way. We're supposed to pity these companies. To me, they were always horrible decisions. Do you think that some of the companies are kind of parsing themselves out as far as the fan friendliness scale? Because that's what it kind of looks like to me. Like some companies seems like they're a little quicker on the adaptation, where others are just still stuck in the old ways.
Yes, you can clearly see that with Paramount. They had this movie in the can for over 2 years. It's been delayed. When Tencent, who is a Chinese company, which means it's going to be tied to the Chinese government, when they backed out of the funding, then they said, okay, screw it, we're going to put the bomber jacket back the way it should be and have both the Japanese and the Taiwanese flag. So that's good. As far as which studios are doing better than others, Paramount's moving that way in some directions and not quite so in other directions. A Strange New Worlds and everything New Trek, which is absolute trash. Out of all of them, Disney is the worst. They will take the longest to realize this, and by the time that they do, they could be in such financial straits that they could be bought out. But yes, I am seeing a trend towards less woke stuff, or at the very least, not bashing the fans before your stuff even comes out. So here's how I rate movies and go into movies. I'll only go see certain ones. I did see Spider-Man 3 times in the theater, and I typically don't even go twice. If I go once, you're lucky. Twice is a miracle. 3 times is unheard of. I have seen Top Gun Maverick, and as much as I loved it, as much as I loved The Northman, Death on the Nile, and then Spider-Man, the most fun I had with the movie itself was Maverick, by far.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Sort of like credit to the thirst we have for wanting to have fun. I think is part of it. You know what I mean? Like I think that's such a big part of it. So Netter's here. Hey, lady, how you doing?
What makes it better is, at least in the theater that I saw it at, we have our local AMC has the big D, so in a little larger format, not IMAX size, but fairly close. The first thing after they were done with all the 30 plus minutes of previews, which most of them were trashy,
right?
Tom Cruise comes up and says, "Thank you for coming to see this." That is huge, and I could see it in his eyes and in his facial expressions and in his mannerisms that he is absolutely proud of this work. He's not afraid of the work, and he loved doing it. And if you get to see any of the behind the scenes stuff, that some of the little things they put out there, if they ever put out a longer form of it, the amount of work that these actors had to go through to do this is astounding. So normally I'm not too big on actors and the way that they behave. Every single one of these people that were in this movie behaved professionally, and I can't think of any one of them spouting off or popping off about something. And it's also a credit to Paramount and to who's the actual production company that Tom Cruise teamed up with, Skydance. It's a credit to them keeping these people in line, not letting them spout off, and not allowing anything that could damage your brand coming out, whether they be right in their assessments or just in their assessments, doesn't matter. When you're in the movie business, you need to get butts in the seat. Best way to get butts in the seat is to not insult them or to say anything stupid.
And to behave like an actual movie star that wants to make money for the company that he's working for, right? So,
and that's where Tom Cruise excels. That's what he's good at. I can't think of any time other than his religious beliefs where he ever goes off topic. He just doesn't do that. He's a professional in that respect, and I respect that of him.
Yeah,
and he doesn't attack the fans either. So
right.
No, I was going to say Ironcaster. I don't know if you saw the tweet that he did. Thanking fans on Twitter as well, or did Tom Cruise basically just said, "Thank you for making Top Gun the biggest movie of the weekend and breaking records." And it was a personalized tweet. Is he sort of like, I don't want to say the last bastion of like this big Hollywoodism, because I'm not sure that. Because I think there's a whole bunch of the next categories that just can't get over the hump, right? Because you have Henry Cavill's and you have even Hiddleston and Benedict Cumberbatch, and they're A-list stars in that they're headlining movies. Hemsworth, but
none of them
there's
quite
something
get to that S tier.
Yeah, just something like there's something special about what Cruise from that. It's the last of his generation that still is fighting to be the big giant movie star kind of thing.
Well, also, I think in part it comes down to that exclusivity, because Tom Cruise just generally isn't out there. He's something of a rare commodity. It allows him to have this really curated appearance. So the last time we really heard about him in the news was when that behind the scenes recording of him let loose, when he's just like talking about the importance of protecting the craft and getting with the COVID restrictions.
Yep. Dragon Rouge is joining us. Hey, bringing up Disney hopes Disney gets bought or goes bankrupt or sells off those IPs. I will say the first two are not going to happen anytime soon. However, I would not be shocked if this continues on the road it's going. 3 to 5 years from now, you would see more licensing deals and more partnerships, kind of like what we see with Sony. You see, like they can do Spider-Man, take a bigger financial risk. We'll just take our cut, because you got to remember, their cut of the Spider-Man movie was so big that it was more than the box office was of, I think, 4 of the 5 movies that they had done the last 2 years. So that's a numbers game. And these people are all about numbers, and they want to be woke and they want to play their game. But at the end of the day, It's all fun and games till someone's knocking on your door to say, today's your last day, grab your stuff. And if you don't believe me, ask the people over at Discovery, because that's what's happening over there.
Well,
Troy,
Yeah.
Troy, it'd be the first time that a studio or a big property would have been sold off from Disney, because at one point Disney used to own Power Rangers, and eventually they sold it back at less than the cost of buying it for.
Thank God.
Troy,
at least it's no longer in Disney's hands. That's what I'm explaining for.
Yes.
Troy, you had some thoughts on the Cruise movie star scale factor there before.
Right. I did want to point out one huge difference with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is also a producer. He is Skydance, right? So he is not only an incredible actor, but his professionalism comes from it's his money on the line. And I think Ironcaster kind of got at this a bit when he was talking about the whole COVID thing, right? You listen to that little rant he had, and it was about, look, people's livelihoods are on the line, people's money are on the line. He meant himself, but he also meant everyone working for him, and that's a good leader of a business, right? So you kind of got to respect that about him too. So I kind of look at this whole thing and I'm like, he's got no time for the woke. He's all about the business. Mm-hmm. The more companies that do that, the more success they're going to see. In fact, we're seeing when we bring up Disney, the whole get woke, go broke thing, it plays out in real time. You see it very clearly. Mm-hmm. Who else is doing really good? Sony is not going after the woke. They're going after the bucks, right?
Yeah.
So
that's true. Very true. So, Chris says that. Okay, so first off, let me just pause here and say there is a massive storm that just rolled in Florida, by the way, which was not supposed to happen until much later. So it shows it does show how much I should. I always say if I'd gone into any other field when I was going into college, where someone would have said, you can be a meteorologist because no one cares if you're ever right. You can keep your six-figure job, just so you know. So I wish I had done such a thing since I was recently good at science and math. But Cruise is the last of the 80s old guard defending the frontiers of entertainment. I really couldn't agree more with that. I think that Cruise has already got, FU money, for lack of a better phrase, even though that's kind of crass coming from me.
Well, up until a couple of years ago,
and he also had
Will Smith.
Well, what? Yeah, true. But I also want to say, with the difference between Cruise and Will Smith, will I think cement my point is Cruise has also gone through the scandals. He's gone through being on the cover of all the tabloids and the divorces and all of the the Scientology attacks and all. He's gone through. He didn't care. Dude just wants to make money. I mean, he's told these companies, "I'm not doing this Mission Impossible movie unless I can do this stunt." I'm going to scale on the side of that building. I'm going to learn to fly a helicopter. I'm going to learn to hold my breath for 4 minutes. At some point, you're just like, dude is just treating this as like the ultimate adventure job. And I think it's just, there's something to be said for that. I think, and that's what's bleeding over in this film and probably other works that he does. We'll go back around one more time just for last thoughts. Mags, last thoughts on the Maverick and Cruise and the impact of all this?
I just, to kind of piggyback off of what you just said, I think you're right that he's part of the last old guard of like this kind of like this slide in from the 70s to the 80s type action star to the 90s earlier action stars, and just that group of era of Hollywood actors and even actresses back then were still, high tier class type people. And
true.
Now we're seeing that fade, and I'm so glad to see Tom Cruise back into what he's doing best and what he loves, and you can see that reflection of his love, of his passion back into his creation. So that's something that we don't see every day right now with other projects that are out there currently. So.
I agree. Castle's here. Hey, Castle, thanks for hopping in, bro. Appreciate that. And Troy with a great quote about the weather. So yeah, we have to. This is fantastic. Ryan, do you think that do we have another actor like Cruise? I mean, you mentioned Ironcaster mentioned Will Smith, but that's damaged goods for now. Let's see how that plays out. But is there another actor that literally could just be like, you know what? Go pound sand. We're making our movie. We're doing our thing. I love you, fans. I love you, people, for coming out. I can't think of anyone else really on that scale. Definitely not on the scale of Cruise, but I couldn't think of anybody.
Well, I can think of one, but I think he's a bit too old. And that would be Sylvester Stallone. But apart from him. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. I'm sure they're out there, but they'll no doubt at least be in their late 40s, early 50s at the very least. I think Tom Cruise is the last of a dying breed unless he tutors someone to be the next Tom Cruise.
Brandon, what do you think of some of the newer guard? Like I mentioned, Hemsworth, Hiddleston, Ben Batch, some of these others. You think there's one or two of them that could possibly just step up? Hiddleston kind of has that reputation of being a fan favorite, loves the fans kind of stuff. The problem is he just keeps his agents are making some bad decisions for him with some of his roles. But is there someone out there that you think is the next crop that will like move to that level and see the value? Like see Cruise as the role model that he should be as a big name celebrity.
Henry Cavill. The rest of them are too willing to play with the woke stuff and too willing to be in stuff that makes them look stupid to get a payday. Thor, Chris Hemsworth being the prime example of that. As much as I did like the third Thor movie. I thought it was good, but now that I have sat back and have the hindsight of time and being a little older, that type of Thor where he's the butt of all the jokes, and especially now with going into this fourth movie, no, he doesn't fit that. The only one that really, out of all those guys, the only one that really truly seems to me to give a crap or to really give a damn is Henry Cavill, because he is the nerd. He is the Witcher nerd. He knows the property inside and out. He doesn't take on a project that, one, he doesn't like, two, he doesn't know, and three, that he doesn't care about. He has to have all three of those, and especially with The Witcher, he has it. And I don't think that he's been treated very well on that with the second season. Fortunately, I didn't see it, but I did see the first season, and it's great. If they actually, for all the projects that he wants to do, if they allow him to do it the way that he wants, they will make so much money, they won't know what to do with themselves. But they have to let him do it.
Ironcaster, when you left the theater, was there an applause, or was there like a general consensus in the lobby, or some feedback from the folks that you were with?
Well, there actually was a small bit of applause there. Though I would point out also the theater I went to was very well packed with what I estimated to be a lot of military individuals. Like, just because like a lot of them didn't necessarily show up in uniforms, but you saw a lot of like war veteran hats and this, and there were people there that you could definitely tell in the air, like the people liked this movie. This was very well received.
That's awesome. So Troy, I love your theory. It's the kind of movie you want to back and see, maybe not once, twice, or three times. It's like you always want to put your money where your mouth is, kind of thing. So I couldn't agree more with you, man. So you have to keep me posted on how many times you see this.
Yeah. We're going for one. We'll start with one.
We'll see where we go from there, right? I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. So I listed Stranger Things as sort of like the secondary part of all this because I finished today. The one thing I was shocked by was it's very rare these days that something is happening and it's trending for all the right reasons. So Stranger Things has been trending for a few days, and not because somebody said this or somebody insulted so-and-so or this was to this or this was to that. No, this was like, this was fun. This was great. Did you see, there's man, I'm trying to figure out how to mention. There's cameos by a big name horror actor. There are scenes that are very dark and horror driven, yet are very well received by the Stranger Things fan. Like, it's very clear they don't want this to be for 9-year-olds anymore. I'll just say that. I thought the first couple episodes have you so immersed back into the Stranger Things lore of loving the characters and how well they were done. The show lingers a bit for me. I'm not going to go into spoilers. So I wanted things to move a little faster. Let's get the band back together and kind of get back on point. But they got more story to tell, right? This is only 7 episodes. They got a couple more that are going to be long. It's good to see something positive kind of happening out there. And let me go the reverse order here. Ironcaster, I don't know if you've seen it or not or whatever, but what are your thoughts on just the idea that we could see horror genre type stuff ignite even a younger fan base and in this way? I actually am kind of surprised it's lasted as long as it has and that people are this excited still.
So I feel like I should point out that I've not really watched much of Stranger Things at all. Though I have noticed that there is kind of I think kids do want horror to an extent. Like, I have a friend who's a daughter who's about 12, 13, and her cousin who's a little younger than her, they go and they watch all these horror movies. They're way into it. I think there's definitely a desire for that, as well as at the same time the 80s nostalgia. So I think we're it's hitting on a lot of cylinders all at the same time.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, I can see that. So, Brandon, what are your thoughts? I don't know if you've been able to take in any of it or not, or been able to get much of a gauge the reaction on Twitter or other social media to see sort of what I think I'm seeing.
Well, I did see Stranger Things season 1 and season 2. I am not a big horror genre type person to start with, but I did watch it and I did thoroughly enjoy it. And I thought, for Netflix, it was probably the best work that they had done, or pretty close to it. But as I said, I didn't watch season 3. I haven't watched season 4, but here's what I have noticed about it. There's a lot more enthusiasm for Stranger Things 4 because they're not pandering. You don't have either the pre-stuff, either from the actors or from the studio, claiming if you don't like it, X, Y, and Z. They're letting their work speak for itself. And for Disney to put the numbers up that they said about Kenobi and basically a double episode to start with. Yeah, if you do 2 episodes at one time on your opening, you're going to have higher view number minutes or hours than what it would be.
You questioned that too, did
Stranger
you?
Things.
I sure did. When I heard that, I was like, wait a minute, are you putting both episodes numbers together? Because I felt it was worded in a way that they were trying to hide the fact that they did, and I'm like,
exactly. Yeah. But in comparison, Stranger Things 4, as far as enthusiasm, as far as fan base being pretty well united,
and positive,
there's no question. It's completely wiping the floor with everybody else right now, with the exception of maybe Top Gun, but apples and oranges type thing.
Sure, Mags. I don't know. Have you seen this kind of reaction? Did you watch any of this, and do you have anybody who's kind of like really been into this kind of stuff? Because I've been shocked. I got a friend who's got like the teenagers too. He and I are both like, man, they're chomping at the bit to get back into this. It's like nothing ever changed for them. They're ready to hop back into this world. I'm like, wow, this is really interesting that's how they approach it.
Well, admittedly, I'm like Ironcaster, where I have not seen the actual show. So, but I am planning on watching it just so I can get myself familiarized with it. But I'm kind of like Brandon, where I'm not into that horror genre, but it doesn't seem to come across as 100%. Like, it's not just all in horror. It has elements of horror. Maybe I could be wrong. But it just seems like fantastical. And everybody, I've seen tons of opinions on it and positive opinions on this latest season, where people were like, season 2, season 3 kind of fell off a little bit. They just kind of had some shakiness there. But then it seemed like they're I've seen so much hype each day so far, as far as people catching up with it on season 4. And that's another thing. So you have season 4 dropping over over the Memorial Day weekend, and then you have Top Gun Maverick and all this great good content as far as giving the fans what they want, what they need. They need the creators to see that passion back into their projects, and that reflects it. And a lot of times the audience also can reflect that back to the creators and how they like it. So that's what I've been seeing as far as the reactions are concerned. So it's all good. I'm happy for the people.
Well, Mags, I'll be happy when you watch at least season 1, because you'll understand me so much more when you have all that 80s stuff spoon fed to you the way it is. So,
I love 80s stuff.
My wife and I watched it twice, and we would pause it and irritate the kids because we were going around the room looking at the stuff in the set design, going, "We used to have that. We used to have this. We used to this is each grandpa's house." And our kids are like, "Please just start it back, please." I'm like, "No, wait, hang on a minute."
I recognize that paneling on the living room.
Absolutely. I
Mhm.
don't know who did the set designs on these shows. They've done a really great job. So
Who knows? I might still recognize some of that stuff in
you
my
might, you
in my
might.
grandmother's house.
Yes, you might. Ryan, because you are so plugged in to the content creators that are out there and that kind of thing, you've also been able, I think, give us a fair assessment that a lot of them appear to be, at least what little they're saying about Stranger Things, I don't think it's really cracking the bubble for a lot of content creators. But are you sort of getting a nice positive vibe on this as well?
I'm getting a vibration that's similar to that of Top Gun in regards to a television series. It's good by normal standards, but in the woke culture that we live in, people are celebrating it, and rightly so. We need more shows like Stranger Things and less shows like the Kenobi TV series. But this season of Stranger Things has grown up. The audience has grown up with the show, or you could say the opposite. And it started off well in season 1. Then in season 2 and 3, it went down. But then in season 4, it went back up again, like a U shape or a V shape. I think this show is worth watching. I've seen bits and pieces of Stranger Things because I'm not really a fan of the horror genre, because I don't want to have a heart attack spontaneously. But yes, I do think it's good. I give it a 7 out of 10. And I think we need more of it, now more than ever.
I'm apologizing because I think my chat froze. I can't see the comment. So if you're out there wondering why I'm not sharing your comments, folks, I'm trying to open the YouTube part in another window so I can get access to it outside of the horrible StreamYard functionality because it's frozen up on me. Now, Troy, you've watched it. You and I have messaged a couple times about the show. Do you think we're being a little overly positive because we had a gap where we didn't have any Stranger Things after having sort of a subpar season 3, and are we being a little too overtly positive, you think? Because I think we both kind of we like it, maybe too much.
No, I see. I was doing reality checks throughout this first half of season 4. I was thinking I was really enjoying it, and next episode. But I kept stopping and going, am I excited about this and enjoying this because I'm just comparing it to season 3, and I'm going, this is better than season 3. So, and because I did that with Mandalorian, with Boba Fett, I was like, well, this is definitely better than, the sequel trilogy. And then when I'm really intellectually honest, I go, yeah, but it's still pretty mediocre if I take it on its own. I'm not saying that about Stranger Things. I'm looking at it and I was like, if this was the only season I'd seen, it's still really great on its own. So yeah, I mean, sure, feel great about it because it's a boost from season 3, but it's still a good show in its own right.
Well, I have to be honest. I didn't want to rewatch season 3, so I just kind of said, well, if they give me a recap, they'll help me know what's going on. They kind of give you a little bit enough to go on.
Enough, yeah.
I have to be honest. I agree. I got into season 1, episode 1, and then 2. I was like, this is really good. I can't believe they've done a good job of me caring about what's been going on. They make me think about a lot of different story arcs, how things have moved. People are not always in good places, so. And like I said, I want to focus on is just great to see fans get something positive. This may not be our core fandom. I mean, if you're not into the horror genre, it's kind of a supernatural / horror. Like it's TV-14. I'm going to be perfectly honest. This isn't like you're going to have to worry about some crazy scene from Nightmare on Elm Street or
language
like
is
that.
Pretty strong though.
They do flare with language, but again, TV-14, right? So they get away with some good stuff from time to time. But I think that it is it's just interesting that it literally is the phenomenon for this teen era, and it will be interesting to see what kind of legacy it holds. Brandon, I don't know do you have your finger on the pulse with the teen community in any way, shape, or form to kind of gauge interest in something like this? Because I think it to me it floats above most of the other content that they've had. So this has to be one of those that probably has some legs.
I probably am not the best for that because my kids are just barely turning teenagers and they still like to watch. They still like to watch Phineas and Ferb, and
good for them. That's a good show.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a great show. That is so good. And Gravity Falls and what's the third one? Big City Greens, and they're all thoroughly enjoyable. But as far as into this, no, I typically don't allow them to see anything remotely close to this, and I don't get to talk to my older nieces or nephews or be able to gauge on that. But just from, like I said, just from what little I have seen on the Twitter, at least what gets curated to me, considering that I'm vastly older than a teenager, I would say yes, it's going to hold up pretty well. At least the first season, and from what it sounds like, the fourth season. I didn't think the second season was bad, but the third season just looked dumb.
Yeah, and I think that what we may see would be that Comic-Con / fan expos and stuff, let's say 5 years from now, this second or third characters will be still doing the Stranger Things tour. It'll still be popular enough, even when the show's sort of done. That's kind of what I think we'll see. So anyway, so I didn't expect a whole lot of Stranger Things talk, because I felt like it's more of just kind of like me trying to put my finger on the pulse of the fan response to this sort of thing. So Chris says, I agree with Brandon. They need to support Cavill. He should be the next Bond. Set as a period piece in the 50s or 60s. Well, we could only dream.
Yes.
We could only dream.
I agree with that.
However,
that would be so good.
He is under contract to be Highlander. So I don't know. We'll see.
That I don't see that even happening.
You don't think so?
It's been in development hell for so long.
Yeah, but that's it's like The Crow too. It's like,
it's gonna be the next Halo.
Well,
no,
don't say that.
Cavill won't. Cavill, I'm agreeing with Netter. I love Phineas and Ferb. I'm not going to make Phineas and Ferb references right now, but yes, I could. It's a fun little show.
The James Bond thing, I think it's better to let that kind of sit fallow for a few more years, because we just had one. It ended the previous Bond. Let it just kind of go away for maybe about 4 or 5 more years, and then we can start talking.
If they let it, that's it's a tough call. I can't see them going very long, just because even in my lifetime, I think there was a gap before Pierce Brosnan. There was a little bit of a gap between him and Timothy Dalton. And that was a lot of contract stuff that messed up all that era and stuff, but they don't want to sit on this very long. They make too much money. I know it's even as bad as some of these movies have been, it's something. So Soul Assassin popping in. There can only be one Highlander film. Yeah, I know. I know.
And it's not Highlander 2.
No, it is not. It is not. It's not.
We have supernatural powers.
Oh, Highlander is such a good film. That's such a the biggest drawback. You guys will definitely give me the thumbs up of the YouTube thing and the copyright nonsense. We can't really stream and watch the show on the YouTube platform together. We have to do the third service, and you're seeing, it's so frustrating, because you'd want to have that sort of live experience and take it all in. We haven't even decided how we're going to handle Tremors next week.
The only real benefit you can have is something like Amazon Prime, which does have a limited library of itself, and you could do some of that with Twitch.
No, you're right. The way I've been doing watch parties has been I use Cosme, and I'll do it as a simulcast. If you don't have your own copy, watch it with us on Cosme. Here's the link, and then I have my stream up as think of it as like a commentary stream, that if you have your own copy, you can come back and use our chit chat as a companion later on.
I wouldn't be able to keep myself quiet enough to make any of that enjoyable. I would have too much to say, because I'd love the fan experience of us watching this stuff together and that kind of thing. So let's just jump right to it. I'm going to just ignite Mags to go to the It was so exciting today. We're tweeting at each other. We're messaging each other. Depp won. That's it. We didn't have to say there was no
Justice
other word.
For Johnny Depp.
It was just
Johnny Cage wins.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like looking at my clock, like, okay, I got 15 more minutes. I got 8 more minutes. I'm like literally counting down, and then I'm watching live, and they do that crazy thing where they got to go back.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's made for a movie. This is like made for a movie.
It is.
I come back, and it was like, nope, Johnny wins, Johnny wins, Johnny wins, and I'm just like, oh,
yes,
Mags. What was it like? What was going through your head when this was happening? Was it beyond the obvious cheers? Was there anything that you were just thinking?
Well, gosh, you know, and I'll say this as a woman, I'm getting sick of all the, not to go down the rabbit path with this, but believe all women is just is dumb.
Yeah.
And
Amen.
the fact that this happened to a Johnny Depp type, and you know, it's unfortunate this happened to him, but to be quite honest, and this is something that, you know, I believe, and even, you know, other people have said, is that, you know, in a way, and I wouldn't say it's a good thing, but in a way, it's helpful for somebody who's with his kind of stardom that got this, and he's literally everybody else out there that has dealt with issues, and especially for the men's side of things. And this is a huge win for that, because this completely disrupts and unravels that narrative. And I'm so happy for him. I'm so glad that this is over. He didn't really care about the money. He wanted his reputation back. And that is important, because in this world of social media, where we've seen people like Gina Carano and other types out there that get canceled and they lose opportunities and all this other stuff because of false accusations, you know, that needs to stop. And it's such a step, instead of a step backward, where what's been happening the last couple of years with these movements and such, and canceling people left and right, you know, that's regression. That's not progression at all moving forward. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't even help any victims real victims out there who say, you know, stop representing me. I'm sick and tired of this. I'm trying to keep it PG here with my voice, but it's just
voice. You'd like to speak up for yourself.
Yeah.
It's just like, let me speak for myself. Let me speak on my behalf. Don't try to. The turds in the world need to just shut up. Excuse me.
Yeah. Ember's getting wrecked on Twitter, and it's nice to see. Soul Assassin says, "Yeah,
yes. Oh yes."
Yeah.
And I've had at least 2 tweets, and I never would expect this, but I just kind of spoke with emotion. I probably wasn't thinking straight, but I kind of, you know, apologize for some of the language that I used. But I'm just sick and tired of this narrative of stop speaking for me as a woman. Shut up. It's just you're not the real victim here.
Yeah.
You know?
Cheers. Thank you, Brandon.
Cheers.
You bet. Well, it was interesting, because in one of the groups that I'm in on Twitter, someone had posted that little meme of Lego people. Well, I posted it, and, you know, acquired meme of the day. Yeah, it's blown up, and it's up there. It's number 1, number 2 on the trending topic of me poo. So my 15 minutes of fame are over.
Yeah.
No, not to us, my friend.
But still, everybody is sick and tired of this. I mean, just the fact that the general public outside, I'm sure the jury saw it, because they were eating with people from the gallery, you know, for lunch breaks. You know, it's just, I'm just so happy that they, you know, granted that $2 million award for, I forget what part of it was. I just kept hearing yes, yes, yes. And I was like, thank you, Lord Jesus, because this is a win for actual justice. You know, you need to take everybody's stories on an individual basis. You can't just blanketly believe everybody just because they have, or anybody. I mean, I lie, you lie, everybody lies. I mean, it's not saying that we're bad people. We're just human beings. We're flawed. So of course this happens. But then to take it and to say, to believe lies and then ruin somebody's life over those false accusations, that's like for me, people who believe in that stuff are accomplices to that situation. So exactly. I don't know. I'm a little harsh on that. So it's just.
Well, and it's just such a difficult, challenging thing because of the Hollywood celebrity thing. Just kind of muddies the water so much in so many different ways. And you know, Ryan, when you see this you finally see some vindication out there and that kind of thing. And I know we probably all have different stories in our lives. Maybe not, you know, gender in a certain way. Maybe not a spouse or relationship that you were in, or you saw something, or, you know, a family member, those kinds of things. We all kind of have these sort of like moments that we kind of have that help guiding our compass, and we can kind of see and scale against a story like this. What has been your thoughts of, like, from a society standpoint? Because you get into some really deep philosophical stuff on your stream sometimes. I'm just curious what you think as a society, how you think this will impact some things.
Well, I personally think that this was a great day. I haven't felt this happy since they blew up the second Death Star.
I love it.
That's a meme for you. Can we get her face on a Death Star and just have it go?
Oh yes, somebody do that.
That's a meme. There you
Put
go.
a
For all
little
you
fart
meme
sound
makers.
as it blows up.
Oh, it's just the poo. It's just the poo that's left behind, and it just kind of fades away. Thank you, Ryan, for some great imagery that makes our
I
day.
love
That's
it.
pretty awesome.
But in regards to society, we are returning to what was a time of equality before the law between men and women, which is what we and our forefathers fought for against the current day, which is to #believe all women, which is utterly insane. You can't believe all people of a certain type. That is ridiculous. That is equity, not equality. So I think this is a great day for justice, for equality before the law, for the rule of law, just like with Kyle Rittenhouse, and just like when the rebellion blew up the 2 Death Stars.
That's a great reference. I don't even know. You got me, because of all the things that you'd come back with, that was not on my radar screen as expectations. So Ryan wins the trophy on that one. He's caught me off guard a little bit. I'm like, I'm not sure I ever can be speechless. I'm not sure. I'm so riddled with my ADHD and all the other letters after my name that I don't think I could be speechless. But that one got me pretty good. Didn't see that coming. Troy, we're a little older, so we tend to have some different sort of, like, I don't want to say baggage, but we tend to carry with us a different type of resume and track record and those kinds of things. We've grown up with Johnny, like Johnny and our age. It's like we've grown up with this guy. I've met him a couple of times. It gets a little weird seeing someone go through this. What's your thoughts on the journey to this point, and then kind of how you felt today?
I've had I've done a couple streams about the Depp trial. I've literally been following it real time for the past 6 weeks, so I know the details. Actually, Mag's been seeing me and liking my tweets as it's been going out. I've got a lot to say about it, but I've had some friends who haven't been following it as closely coming back and saying, well, why do I care about these Hollywood elite people? And it comes down to I care about the law. Okay. Yes. And it takes sometimes these people with this much money to fight these things out, to change the court of public opinion, to, as Ryan said, bring it back to the center square. We have a 14th Amendment in this country that I think too many people have forgotten about. We're all supposed to be equal under the law. There's a reason why that lady standing on top of Old Bailey has blinders on. Right? She doesn't see gender, color, doesn't care what your preference is, none of those things. Everyone is equal under the law. Now, I could throw out a black pill and kind of derail it and say, well, but then there's the Sussman trial. I guess everyone's equal under the law, but some people are above the law. But putting that aside, we really do have to say, I grew up, I was born in the 70s, lived through the 70s, the 80s. And I know what real women's liberation was all about. What every woman that cared about liberation, what they wanted was equality. They wanted to be treated the same as a man for doing the same job. They wanted to be treated fairly. And so many of those women that you have to respect, who blazed that trail in the 70s, are looking at the ding-dongs in the 2000s going, you're setting us back. You're undoing what we did. That battle is over and you're undoing it to fight it again. And I think that's a big part of what Me Too had become. Yes, yeah. I agree. We need to listen to all women.
Every case.
We believe evidence. That's what our law is based on. That's what fairness is based on.
Absolutely. So Soul Assassin's firing up on Ryan's imagery here with the turd star.
Well, I don't know how to make memes,
And
so
that's
I
no
might as well
moon.
suggest
It's a
ideas.
turd star. I'm not sure what a good space station reference there, but I like that. We're on the right track. We're on the right track, and I'm with you. And lovely Sherry is joining us. Hey there, lady. Thank you
Hey,
so
girl.
much for coming in.
The mistress of memes. Oh man, she can throw them out.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And
The
speaking of
stench,
throwing them
I
out,
haven't
can we
smelt
throw,
it in
can
so
we throw
long.
Eve Barlow down the shaft into the reactor core, please?
Yes.
Well, I'm
In
sure she's
Minecraft,
gonna be-
we can do that.
I'm sure she's going to be seeing some grumpies in her future.
So, so as we close, how long until it becomes a movie? How long? What's the
Oh.
over under on when it becomes some sort of adaptation?
Oh, it depends who wins the culture war.
Yes.
Will it be a tragic tale of a victim woman, or will it be the triumph of justice and liberty for all? Who
the thing I
knows?
find kind of
Depends who
interesting out
wins
of
the
this-
culture war.
Ironcaster, what?
The thing I find kind of interesting out of this, basically having done some traveling this weekend, having kind of gone all around, I've been talking with people all over, and there's like no one that I've met who did know about it that was in support of Amber Heard. It was all just people who were, yes, fans of Johnny Depp, but then I think a lot of them were also hearing the actual evidence, getting to see, what happened. And, I had to kind of go and correct a thing or two myself, but it was largely everyone I've met was all Team Johnny Depp. Like, down to like going to the store today to buy pet supplies. I was like checking my phone like for the updates, like, all right, because I knew like, oh, the reports are gonna come out any minute now, and refreshing, and then me and like a couple of cashiers and a couple of customers were all just around, just kind of talking about it, and not a single one of them like was on the side of Amber Heard. And I was kind of surprised to see just how out there in like the real world, the normal world outside of my window, people who were tuning in on this one. This was a case that got the masses' attention.
Yeah, I think that the fact that this case got so insane. Keely Chow's here. Hey, Keely Chow, what's going on? We're talking a little bit of the Amber Heard, Johnny Depp stuff. I think if a normie doesn't know the case, the moment they would learn any of the details, this is why I think it'll be adapted to a movie. I don't know how they'll get the rights to do it all, or a book, but it's one of those things where if you played this out and wrote it properly, a normie would be like, no way. They'd be on their phone like, oh, no, she didn't say or do that, did she? You're like, oh, crap, she did. So, I mean, yeah, it's that kind of thing. So my wife's responsible. She's a loon. That's literally what she said when I said Johnny won. She goes, well, yeah, she's a loon. Bigger question.
One moment, though, I think that got everyone's attention, though, on this case was when was in the trial when they got to the poop story.
Oh yeah, because
that was
when
what
put on the bed went
tuning
viral.
in.
Absolutely, yeah, that went. And then of course the turd and the poo references went viral too. So it was like it was really like three. It was 3 or 4 layers of the same story getting out there to people. So
and not only that, but they even read it. So this is in the record. #AmberTurd.
Yes.
Seeing her reaction to that, I mean, you could see her furiously blinking and just this face of her, it's just.
What about
That's what she will forever be known as.
What
yeah,
about
Soul
redefining?
Assassin, for Soul Assassin's question, where is, I don't even know who to go to for this. So you guys have to sort it out. Rock, paper, scissors. Here we go. Where would Amber Heard go right now to get sympathy to do what Soul Assassin's proposing? Like she'd have to get some sort of leverage behind her as a victim again. There's no way she's going to have any sip. So where does she go? The View, maybe? Where does she go?
She'll come out as bisexual during the Pride Month.
Oh God!
I think
She's already
actually
that way.
Yeah, I think she's already bi because she beat up the other girlfriend because we weren't allowed to talk about that in this case.
And that's what she supposedly has again as another girlfriend. So she chases the man with money, and then once she breaks him, she goes for the other, starts pitching for the other team again. But where she'll go to OnlyFans.
She just has to go out against
no.
She'd become rich on OnlyFans because the
She
world
would
is that
become rich on
crazy.
OnlyFans.
The world is that crazy.
There-
She'd be that may be where she'd make the most money, to be honest.
There's enough.
It
There's
was.
enough.
Smelling your bath water.
There's not. There's not. Well, she can always sell her turds. I mean, there's.
Oh no!
Oh,
She needs
you know what?
she needs to get a
Again,
sponsorship with
that would
Hershey's.
work. Again, that would work. I could see her. Wasn't there a lady like farting in a bottle and making money?
Yeah.
Doing that, right?
Yes,
So
and
could
that
you
was
see
being
her-
sold.
Amber Turd would get hundreds of dollars for turds in a bottle.
She'd
And-
get thousands.
If it's
Yeah.
not, if it was legally to ship it, because I'm not sure how you could ship bodily fluids like that, because I know for the company I work for, it's all sorts of red tape to do that. But if they were able to figure that part out, yeah, you know what? I can see that. I could, isn't this insane that the villain of a court case that impacts our society so much, we're sitting here and we've come up with at least 2 to 3 viable ways this person would still be a millionaire tomorrow.
Yep.
Yep.
There's actually some steps in between though. Before she
I know.
slides down to OnlyFans, I think what's going to end up happening is she is going to find herself doing things like Lifetime or something like that, where she's going to take a huge pay cut, but whoever is doing it is trying to get that star recognition for as little money as possible. So you're going to see her doing some, made for cable type movies and stuff in the near future.
Maybe she can be the next villain in the Daily Wire film with
You
Gina
sneak this stuff
Carano.
You sneak this stuff in, like I'm supposed to ignore these comments because you're on the panel too. That's like I want to see Camille Vasquez's POV.
If
fantastic.
That would
Camille's not, if Camille's not partner in that law firm, I would.
Yeah, I don't understand. Or she's
She's
gonna make more
definitely
money.
on the path. She's
Oh,
an
yeah.
associate, but she is on the path, no doubt.
Yeah, she needs to be made partner sooner
And
rather than
I
later.
have to say this about the entire trial, and I don't mean to keep this longer, but on the topic, but the way that Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez said their closing arguments, and the way that you could hear them choking up near the end of what they were saying,
Yeah.
and the fact that Depp's team treated each other and him like family. They hugged each other. They were looking out for each other. There were times in which Depp, I could tell he was starting to get aggravated with Elaine's antics. And I would see on occasion just Camille just lightly touch his arm, kind of like we're, grounding him, saying, hey, it's okay. We're right here. We've got you. We've got your back.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that team operated and basically they've worked with him for how many years? I don't know how long they've been together, but it's been years. So it's like family at this point.
It was
They
years
know
ago when I was
his
doing work on the
details.
divorce case, so I can't imagine. And Soul
Yeah.
Assassin is still just earning it, man. Look at that.
Well, she
Like a-
is cringe. So
Like a beast.
Yeah.
Like a beast. He's still throwing them out there. She's selling a-hole pics on OnlyFans in 2 months. Laugh out loud. Not even laugh out loud. Like totally could see it possibly being the case.
And maybe she can work with her girlfriend.
She could
If
start
that will
selling
last.
turd stars.
Oh,
Yes. And Soul Assassin says Camille is
Yes.
My spirit
Yes.
lawyer.
spirit
Yeah.
lawyer.
absolutely.
You want to talk about women, setting women back. Camille is setting women forward, and
Yeah.
and in a very
Yes.
equal way in which she defended a man, and there you go. It's just, and she held her
And
own.
effectively, yeah.
Yes.
and if you
So-
ever get asked the question, "What is a woman?" just say Camille Vasquez.
Camille Vasquez.
Oh, that's
yeah.
a beast response. Oh, that's a beast response. I like that, Ryan.
Yep.
That's good.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
hardcore. I
That's
like
all you
that.
have to say.
Yeah, someone tried to do that to me once, thinking that I would have some sort of, funny line or something like that.
Hmm.
And I said, kind of Lisa Rice.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they all just paused and were like, ah, crap.
Yeah. We can't say anything about that.
She's a minority. She's classy. She's not really stirred up any trouble.
No,
it's
and she holds her own. She's not
and
afraid.
she's a beast, man. She's so
Candace
widely
Owens now,
respected in
too.
her circle. Yeah, but she's off-putting to certain circles that Rice is not. So I thought I was safer with going with that kind of bet. So
And if they ask you what is a man, just say Michelle Obama.
That's Michael.
She's
my
a
God.
man, baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
For that one, I always go with the classic "a miserable pile of secrets."
What is it? Is this true? Is there rumors going around of Camille and Johnny?
No, I think
No,
that's
they're
people
not.
shipping.
Right?
People are shipping them.
I think it's shipping because she's the one that attacked Amber, attacked her client, attacked Amber Heard basically because her client is being defamed, and it's just I think people are making that bigger than it really is. It's just she protects her client, so it's just it's become family after years of defending this and doing all the work and doing all the dirty secrets and everything.
I don't think something like that could go on while she was his while she was the retained lawyer. That would be odds are that would be an ethics or a code of conduct type of.
And that would have been brought up in court too. Somebody would have said something.
Would have.
Yep.
So my favorite part of the entire trial, and I did not watch hardly any of it, and I may misquote this, so a couple of you know this better than I will, was whenever there's a cross-examination and it's like, well, did you ever offer Johnny $300 million and 1 million alpacas to return to the franchise? Then it was just like, and then there was a follow-up question. Well, did you ever offer, and you can see him like bent over, like laughing, trying to hold it together. And I'm like, I replayed that clip like 6 times. Like I couldn't believe what I was seeing here. It was such a indication of how bad society has gotten in this moment. Like literally, we're doing this in a court case. We're literally taking a sarcastic response, and we are. And
see, that's the problem. I would say most people, probably 90% of the people that are watching this, and also either couldn't watch it and caught it later, knew that was a joke, and not just a joke in such a way of of course he's not going to go back to Disney. I mean, after what they did to him, what do you expect? I mean, it's a sarcastic comment, which I chuckled at because I think that's just appropriate because he's basically saying no
more alpacas.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot more alpacas.
And so anyway, go ahead. It's just funny. People taking it so seriously. Oh my God.
you teed up the ball, so I want to go ahead and take my swing because you said the D word. Disney's decided that it would be a smart business decision to first, before the show drops, to call everybody racist.
Yeah.
As the first weekend the show drops, to call people racist, and now after feedback and the third episode drops, call people racist. Ryan, can you think of a worse business model and strategy than that? I really don't know I don't know what I could think of that would be a worse idea to run my business, to do this kind of stuff.
This is what happens when you turn the Kenobi TV series into the Darth Wakanda show. This is what happens.
Mr.
This
Dr.
woman
Professor,
is
he
Michael
the best.
Burnham of Star Trek.
Yeah.
For goodness sake, she can use Leia to lure Obi-Wan when how the hell does she know they're connected? I mean,
don't explain it. Not going to explain it, in my opinion.
She kills the Grand Inquisitor and Vader thinks Kenobi did it? Does Reva, also known as Darth Wakanda, have force sensitivity stronger than the bloody Emperor? I mean, come on, man. To quote your illegitimate president, come on, man.
Ryan, no,
he's not wrong.
Call her Darth Panther.
Ironcaster, you haven't watched a minute, so let me ask you a question because it gets this absurd. I kid you not. The writing is so bad in today's episode that the trap works, right? They use Leia as bait. They pull Kenobi out into the open, and therefore there's a face-off with Vader and Obi-Wan, whatever, and it ends, and they don't ever there's no pause in the writing room that they've created this incredible flaw. And if I ran about this one, how many views will I get? You do realize now all we would have to do now is just hold Bail Organa and his family hostage, because now we know there's a link. There was so little thought out that it starts to make Halo look decent. That's how bad it gets.
Oh my gosh, that's bad.
Am I wrong with that analysis? Are any of you're following my logic, right?
Yep.
Let's kidnap Leia to get Obi-Wan out into the group. We don't know where Obi-Wan is. Obi-Wan randomly just shows up and has the kid. So we know it worked. So that we know Bail Organa is connected to Obi-Wan in some way, shape, or form. So if we lose Leia or if it doesn't work out, we'll just try again with another family member. It's totally it just pulls the curtain back on the secret of relationship. It's just it's so stupid.
It sounds like you could even kind of then use this to sort of build up the targeting of Leia at the start of A New Hope, that you have Darth Vader now going after her because, well, she's been kind of connected to Obi-Wan in some way, and I don't know. I'm kind of grasping at straws. I have not watched this. I really have no desire to see it because I'm just sick of the hatred coming from Star Wars to fans.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
It's like every time they open their mouth, every time they come out and talk about this stuff, it's just more attacks on the fans. I don't want anything to do with this right now. It's like I would rather just Star Wars, much like I said for James Bond, just kind of go away for like 4 or 5 years. Let's kind of put things down and simmer for a while, and
right.
Let some heal.
Mags, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say it makes you feel dirty, like Ironcaster said. It's like you get tired of the attacks on us, the fans, and everything else, and just watching it makes you still feel dirty and negative and just ill. But at the same time, if how does this all play into their own continuity? It's broken, even through Rogue One and everything else in between. My brain is hurting just thinking about all that. The reason why, according to Disney, that they were going after Leia's ship is because they had the plans on there that the Rogue One crew got the Death Star's plans to. But now it's like, so her secret is already revealed to be that of something else, and they've never in the previous original trilogy, they never went after her before. She was just a senator, part of doing her father's bidding, being part of the rebellion, but they didn't know about what she was doing. So I don't know. It's my head hurts with their continuity, and now they're destroying it. They're even destroying their own creations, like Rebels with the Grand Inquisitor stuff. It's just
Yeah, and you're not allowed to point it out because then you just cue the name calling, because it was really an eye-opening experience for me. I was like, what is happening? It's like I was called just basically the old guy multiple times. I was like, well, that's just not fair. Like, of course I'm an old guy. I don't even care. Like, what? That doesn't have anything to do with no one cared about most of my arguments. The weirdest thing was how much people were just like, well, let's just see where it goes. That's the biggest consensus to most things that are dumb. Let's just see where it goes. So
I think it's because it ultimately comes back to people just wanting good Star Wars.
yes.
Yeah, because I didn't even get into the nitpicky. I didn't even get into the Reva stuff. I'm waiting for that to load there, Brandon. He sent me a little link here to share for a second. So I think it's something. I'm just trying to get my computer to load all the way. I didn't even get into I think at that point I was still like, I'll defend Reva. Is it because we're in it was like a chicken and egg argument for me, because it was like, well, let's create a horrible character. She doesn't get transformed into a Inquisitor or Dark Force. She won't look like them. She'll just be this black girl who just yells and screams and mean to people, and then we'll basically tell her they're going to attack you for being racist. And it was like the self-fulfilling prophecy. It was all they did. And I'm like, was that her fault? Because she just did what she was paid to do. The problem is it's so unbearably bad. So this was Colonel Ataku Gatekeeper. What is this?
This was something that came across my feed earlier, and something I was sharing a little bit of.
To Fandom Menace. Star Wars is not made for you anymore. You can either continue to deny and waste your time waiting for the franchise to return to glory, or accept it and move on. For those who don't want to do the latter, allow me to introduce Gundam. Why Gundam is superior to Star Wars. Plain good versus evil. Morality gray and complex factions. Hand-fisted, mindless, left-wing political preaching. Politically nuanced storytelling. Treats its fans like treats its fans with respect. Okay. Obsessed with the past and abuses the nostalgia. Looks to the future to create new nostalgia memories. If you're fed up with Disney Star Wars, give Gundam a chance. That's a great ad. From Brandon, the anime guy. Very good ad. I like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Ironcaster, for sharing that with me. And I have definitely passed along that message, and it is so true. Oh, where do I start with this travesty and atrocity that is the Obi-Wan Kenobi show? Here,
How much
Let
have you
me-
taken in? Oh, that's so cool. I know. I love the man and his toys.
that is cool. That is
It
cool.
is.
I
Brandon, how much
did
have
watch,
you taken in? You watched the first one?
I did watch the first 2 episodes of Kenobi. I watched it with my bud Snowdub, and we both came to pretty much the same conclusion. We needed to spork our eyes out and shove pencils in our ears. It was bad. That first episode was not good. The second episode was worse, and I declared on his channel that as of that night, Star Wars was dead. Disney Star Wars has ruined it. There's no way that I'm going to invest any more time in it, knowing that eventually all roads lead to Soy Woker and all of that crap. I have no faith in Disney to do right. I have no faith in Lucasfilm to do anything right. I have no faith with Kathleen Kennedy, the flying butt monkey herself, to do anything right. And as much as I may, like and respect Favreau, and to a much, much, much lesser extent Filoni, they're not the ones calling the shots. That is apparent with this show. That was apparent with the last show. They have done it. I'm done with it. I'm not going to do anything further with it. I will not wreck my mind canon, or even disrespect what came before. This show is a full-on disrespect of the original trilogy. This is telling George Lucas what you made sucks, and we're trying to do it better because you couldn't do it right. And here's the part that really hurts me. There are a lot of people within the Star Wars fandom that I hang out with, that I subscribe to, that I pal around with, wrench for, etc., etc., etc. You could see on certain people's faces how badly disappointed they were with this. They may say one thing, but their body language says another. And some of them are being a little more generous than others. And then there's other people that I respect immensely who for some reason think that this is the tour de force. This is Star Wars. This is what they were waiting for.
It's strange to me.
And it kills me.
Yeah.
Low
Spec says that it was even worse than the first 2 episodes. That was enough for me. I think episode 2 is the worst. It's worse than even episode 3. Episode 3 hurts differently, and I literally said this in that little rant. I think all of you by now have probably seen enough of my little rant to realize I literally was like in pain because I was literally seeing. I think this is what Halo did to Loki. It was like he felt like it was being murdered in front of him. Like the stuff I loved is being destroyed in front of me, and that's how I felt with the first 2 episodes of Kenobi, where like these 4 or 5 things are like devastating to the story. I don't care about it being the old way. I don't care about Kenobi not changing or having a story. One of the first things I said was just like, look, if this was just set a year or 2 after, it would make at least a little bit more sense. The fact that this guy's been sitting around basically becoming useless for a decade makes no flipping sense. And then and this episode 3, which part of me feels, and maybe this is my call in life, that I need to be the one to say, I'm going to explain to you people why you're wrong. And there are better people out there than me. Gary makes a living being way better at this than me because of the way they edit their videos together. But if I don't try to explain it to one person to say, look, you're going to figure this out eventually. They're not going to explain these things to you. They're not. They don't care. They don't care that the person that's jumping and flipping around like a scene in the Matrix just watches a ship fly away. They're not going to explain to you how Vader, like 2 seconds ago, manipulated the fire in the middle of this lightsaber duel, and then at the end, just watched it burn so they could have a reflection on the helmet. That's the only reason they did that. They will not explain to you why or how any of this would make sense. They don't care. And these people are just dumb. They literally think they're going to get explanations. They literally think, well, let's just see what they do. They're not going to do anything. They're going to keep going on with the story. They don't care when you raise your hand and go, that doesn't make any sense. They don't. Troy, you won't
You're
even
a bigot.
I know. I know I am. I don't think I
Well,
got too much
I-
isms or idiots in my attacks. I got more of just you're old and you're dumb, and if you would just see it this way or you see it that way, I get kind of like that kind of stuff. But
See, people are saying that
well-
to you. Shouldn't matter about age. Isn't that ageist of them to say? I mean,
Well,
let's
it
go
is
right
ageist of
back.
Yes.
a little bit, but yeah, it's
Well-
almost like it's kind of like what that meme was saying. You know, you're the old guy. You want it the way it was. Whatever. Like I didn't even argue that perspective. I didn't think. Anyway, Troy, you're kind of like I'm not giving Disney a nickel. I don't want a part of it and that kind of thing. We're not really helping the cause a little bit, are we?
No, see, I've been very much of the mindset, I've followed along with the big channels and stuff, and I've been hopeful, and I've been, there's definitely the factions that care about Star Wars, but, there's these other people from Lucasfilm that are, trying to subvert expectations, and there's this war going on, and da-da-da-da-da. But I finally got to the point where I just, you know what? As long as she's still there, as long as those people are still there, that's what's happening. That's what Disney's killing it, and not in the good way. I mean, literally killing it. And you can tell me every other year, oh, but she's on her way out. She's she's definitely, and now she's making the rounds, and I don't care. I do not care, because she's 70 something years old, right? She's eventually going to decide to leave herself. Either that or, heaven take her. It's gonna happen eventually. That doesn't make you a great prophet to know she's eventually going to be gone. The fact is, nobody is stepping in and being the adult in the room and saying, we paid $5 billion for this franchise, and we are Amber hurting the bed with it. We really are. and they still, honestly, because of what they've lost and what it continues to hurt them, and the streaming and all this, I don't think they've even made even with their original investment.
No.
I really
No,
don't think so.
Not even close.
And no, I have not seen these episodes, but why are we doing prequels that can only hurt their established canon, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. It's because Kathleen Kennedy already had greenlit a Boba Fett movie and an Obi-Wan movie.
Yep.
Those things have been in, limbo, and that's why we ended up getting these TV shows.
Yep.
Okay. They're the leftovers from a movie treatment that she was trying to do. Are Favreau and Filoni doing the best they can? Maybe, but it's still something that never ever should have happened, and this is what I was talking about before. It's good by comparison. That doesn't make it truly good. I'm getting ready to do a video. I haven't seen these episodes, but what I do see is the marketing. Okay. I'm a toy guy, and I saw last weekend at the Hasbro, booth at the Celebration, they announced their new HasLab, which is Reva's goofy lightsaber, for $3,000, and a Reva figure in the retro style, the Black Series, and the Vintage Collection. And where is the Obi-Wan figure? They announced a Vintage Collection on Monday, and they announced a Black Series over the weekend. He's taking second fiddle in his own show in the marketing.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan didn't even get a retro figure for the Star Wars release of the retro line.
What?
And here it is with him getting his own show, and there still hasn't been an announcement of an Obi-Wan retro figure. You tell me that she's not taking the starring role in the Obi-Wan movie.
Well, I want to get to Soul Assassin's comment real quick, because he says recommend reading the book. I think Mags and I talked about this on our Star Wars streams. Well, the book is fantastic, by the way.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Better characters. Yeah, so definitely read that. And then he says, I just can't give up Star Wars. Just cut the Disney crap out of the true canon of the EU. There's plenty of material to spin around.
You know what I think they're going to do? I think we're going to have a Star Wars What If series.
They already do.
Similar to that of Marvel.
They have it right now.
They have it
Yeah,
made.
we're in the middle of it.
And well, they have it in like there's comic book formats and things like that they could pull from. Filoni wants to be Lucas, is said. The last 3 episodes are atrocious. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And you think that didn't make sense? Hold my beer. Yeah, I know. I know.
And the thing is with this show, it's got Kathleen Kennedy and Obi-Wan Ewan McGregor as producers on the show, and I'm like, why? It's just there's. I mean, even I know Jon Favreau and Filoni. I don't think they were part of the credits on the first 2 episodes that I remembered, but I'm just like, what? The one thing that you don't want to do is mess with. I mean, I would say the original 3 is definitely they're the top tier ghosts. They're number 1 tier, and then there's the second tier where you have the Hayden Christensen, the Ewan McGregor, even the Samuel L. Jackson types and all that kind of stuff. And that tier, don't mess with those tiers. And now they've destroyed those characters. I can't. How can they do that? I don't know how to explain my emotions through it all.
Well,
like,
I can tell you. I can tell you what I was thinking, and again, I think different folks have said it a different way. But I think Brandon said it best, and it is when the fandom is sensitive to the woman being in charge, the female characters being superior. You've heard all the hate on Rey and all these different things, and you've gone through these different shows, and now you're going to roll out Obi-Wan, and I kid you not, in episode 3. First, Leia's constantly not listening to him and chatty chat, getting him out of a situation. And then female rebel disguised as an emperor soldier shows up. That saves him. And then later, when there's another fight scene, he gets saved again by the same female.
Oh my
At some point, you're not telling a story. You're purposely doing things to antagonize the haters. You're purposely trying to do things because first off, there's a female stormtrooper.
Well, I mean, we do know that the writers' rooms do like to do that. And I mean,
it's not in, and I want to make sure we're clear. It's not in question that it's a female stormtrooper because of the voice. It says in the subtitles, in the captions, female stormtrooper. It's not me misgendering somebody. It said female stormtrooper. Now, it's like the stupidity overflows of like them destroying it themselves because there's really nothing left. Like I said, I tweeted at Dave Filoni. They're literally killing a character that you created, by the way. Do you realize that you're killing your own creator, like your own creation? Like, why did you do this? This character doesn't exist for 5 years, and you murdered him already. Anyway,
or at least he might have existed during this time period, but he existed in a different show, and now he's dead. Like, how does that even work?
He's dead. Yeah, he's dead before that show starts. Yeah,
like,
Disney.
Are you destroying your own content? Yeah, are you destroying your own canon to kind of reboot your own? I don't understand this. This is madness. It's like it's weird.
Or it's just like Book of Boba Fett, where no one really dies. Next episode they're putting robotic parts into his stomach or whatever.
Oh,
I
the
agree.
mod squad stuff. Oh my god.
I definitely think that it can happen in this too. I have no doubt that they will just try to do this kind of because they've tried to establish this as a common thing. Everyone can go into a back of tank and be healed or whatever. So I see where Ryan is going. Disney will try to push their own Star Wars multiverse, but of course neglecting the George Lucas. Oh yeah, and it's kind of what they're doing. It's very clear that's kind of what they're doing.
Except when they want to sell a new toy. Oh yeah, we'll put out the Jaina Solo figure.
Yeah,
there was.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Pops. There was one thing that I did get from a friend of mine. He's much younger than all of us, even younger than you, Mags. He grew up with the prequel trilogy. That was his Star Wars. He loves it. Saw the sequel, saw the the original stuff. Loves it. Loved Clone Wars. Loved Rebels. All of those things. This is what he wrote to me with regards to this. Dude, the latest episode of Kenobi, it felt fun watching it, but immediately felt hollow after. And I replied to him, that's what happens when you go after things that are carnal as opposed to things that are more eternal. Because he's also a youth pastor, so that's the type of thing that I the verbiage that worked. And here's what he replied to me about that. I think it's just a case of I've set my expectations as low as I can, and I'm still being disappointed. Wow. I'll finish this series. But after this, I don't know if I'll watch any more Disney Star Wars, YouTube channels aside. And that's exactly where I'm at. As I said, I love all the people that I hang around with on the YouTubes, the various Star Wars channels that I do hang with. But I just can't bring myself to watch this anymore. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's I'm actually to the point now, because obviously they're setting up a whole lot of stuff. And by the way, for those of you that haven't seen the show or will not watch the show, just so you know, just forget that any of this has to do with Luke. Like, there's one shot, you saw it in the trailer. He's disobeying Uncle Owen, climbs on top of the little igloo looking thing on Tatooine. He's up there pretending to fly a ship. That's it. To the binoculars. That's it. He's gone. I didn't dislike we have to manufacture a reason for him to leave the planet. I know it messes up some canon in some ways. I think it does definitely mess up the intent of what was meant and said in New Hope. However, if we let that go just a little bit, the problem is it is Leia obsessed, not just because she's the MacGuffin, she's the baby Yoda being carried around. She's also like, I don't get the people that think that she is like Carrie Fisher's incarnation of it. Like, it's just weird to me. She's not learning how to be a good leader. She's just being a brat. She's mouthy, disrespectful. She just does her own thing. And this episode continued that. It's the same thing with Reva. They're trying to make this about race. I'm like, you do realize that she's not Star Wars like at all. She looks like a black lady cosplaying in a suit, a knockoff Inquisitor costume. Yeah. And then she's just got a nasty attitude. She's just got some nasty,
like a sore thumb amongst.
Yeah, she doesn't even fit. Yeah, she doesn't look like them. Why doesn't she look like them? We're not going to explain it. I don't believe they ever will.
And the thing is, the one thing I never understood this is that she's like, and maybe they could explain this in the show, but they should have already explained this already. Where, why is she? She's in the Inquisitors, but why is she like being ugly to them? Like, I mean, I wouldn't say not in a sense ugly, but I mean, like, why is she picking a fight with? Why is she picking a fight with them when
she does in this episode?
No, with no particular reason. I mean, she's joined the Inquisitors. If she doesn't want to be in it, I mean, find a way to get the heck out. I don't understand. I don't understand that.
Now it's greed and envy.
Yes.
It's greed and envy. Chris, you're summarizing, I think, what I was trying to say better than I did, and that is that they killed off the Grand Inquisitor, ignoring Clone Wars and Rebels. Right. Because I had to look this up. I think Mag and I were talking. I said I had to double check that this is 5 years in the future was Rebels, because I was like, my head was hurting at this point. Like, I can't believe this is so badly pieced together. It's like it's like doing a puzzle, and then suddenly you're at the end and you realize there's 5 pieces missing, and there's one piece in the box, and you flip it over and it just says F you. It doesn't. It says. It just, that's how I felt watching the show. Well, what if they're doing all of this so that Filoni remakes the original trilogy? He'll make Leia the hero. Well, listen,
you missed the meme, right? Where Bale says to her, "One day, all of Alderaan will look to you." Yes. And then they cut to the scene of the Death Star blowing up.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, that says it all. That's the setup. It's deconstructing Leia too.
Yes. Yeah, to a certain extent. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So, all right, so we're literally, we're at our time. But I want to give everybody an out if we needed to. So anybody has to go or anything like that, I totally understand, because I kind of have my little 7 o'clock window. If not, we will just continue rambling until we all feel pretty comfortable in our therapeutic statement. So,
keep on going, keep on growing.
All right, Ironcaster, go ahead, buddy. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh no, I was gonna say, it seems like if anything, again, I'm not watching the show, so. It sounds like they were ultimately just trying to justify making the show ultimately about Leia, because from everything I've heard, it's more about her. It's not even about Obi-Wan and him on Tatooine and him in that time window. It's like, it sounds like Obi-Wan is kind of just in a way, kind of similar to how Mad Max was used to introduce you to the world of that setting in those movies. It sounds like Obi-Wan is in a similar way being used to tell stories of other characters. And you're just
referred to, I think I tweeted today on something or a comment to someone. I said he has been reduced to Leia's chaperone. That's all he is.
Pretty much.
Until he saw Vader and it got serious, there was no lightsaber use. So we've gone we almost got to the halfway point for him to ignite the lightsaber. That's how bad this has gotten of him not being Obi-Wan. So go ahead, Troy. I think you were saying.
It sounds like they're trying to kind of they are trying to work within it to justify the some of the dialogue Leia had from A New Hope.
Yeah, they're almost to the point where they're trying to treat them almost like Easter eggs that are right out in the open. You're going to trip over them. They're not really Easter eggs. Easter eggs are supposed to be something that you just don't easily see, but they don't get that because they're JV writers. They're crappy writers.
Mhm.
But like I said, I don't even have to get into the weeds with the show. I'm with Brandon. My head hurts, and it's like painful because they make these massive destroying the canon. Not even the canon, because it makes me seem like I care about the old T that much, which I do, being honest. But it's like your own stories won't make sense. Like you can't keep going in a linear line. You start creating like almost like the multiverse effect because you're like, oh, wait a minute, this character can't die. This can't happen. This can't work. This can't. You're disproving like whole. Like if everyone in the universe knows that Vader is Anakin, does the ending of Empire Strikes Back even matter? Like who cares? Like was Luke the only one who didn't know at this point? Because if all the Inquisitors knew. Like
That would seem stupid, right?
It just makes it so dumb. It's so dumb, and it's mean because they did it on purpose, and that's what they keep doing.
Yeah,
they
can't even keep their own canon straight. They completely wreck Rebels.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
yeah. And this
episode, they will have a multiverse TV series with Rey and Reva taking on General Grievous and Darth Maul and the Emperor, and you'll have all these different characters fighting each other so they can have their own Spider-Man No Way Home.
Maybe.
Ew.
So in the first sequence, was this episode 1 or 2, Brandon? You have to tell me, when was the chase? When they chased Leia in the woods? Was that episode 1?
That was the first. That was the first episode, and it was terrible.
So episode 1 has the chase scene where the 3 bounty hunters show up, and by the way, one of them is Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Troy, makes your head hurt because you're like, that doesn't look right. Like something's wrong here. Anyway, it's a Benny Hill scene. I think Neurotic actually made a clip or put the voice, the music in, which
With
made me laugh.
sax, yeah.
Yeah, because that's how it is. Like literally, there's like wood, and she just goes under it like that.
She slides. She slides like she's done that so many times.
He runs up to it and he stops, and he has this look on his face like, oh my gosh, I've never seen it. What am I going to do now? And there literally is a pause on purpose. Now, episode 3, it's like, how could we outdo that? And I thought to myself, surely we're past. No, this is how bad it is. Transport vehicle picks up Leia and Obi-Wan. They're reluctant to do this, but that's what they're going to do. They're going along, and then suddenly they pick up about 8 stormtroopers, and they get in and sit with them. So they're literally Obi-Wan and Leia sitting there. Now they're on the planet. They're looking for a Jedi and a little girl. Kid you not. This happens. And then, well, have you seen a Jedi? And Obi-Wan says, well, I wouldn't know one if I've seen one. And literally become like a conversation and distraction. It literally was, kid you not, Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny going, I'm looking for a rabbit. Really? What's a rabbit look like? Well, it has long ears. Long ears like these? Yes, long ears like that. A fluffy tail? What, a fluffy tail like that? Literally is like, well, I wonder what we're looking for. You, old man, in a brown cloak and kind of mysterious with a little girl. Huh. No, I don't know what's going on here. So, all right, well, this is our stop. We're getting off. I kid you not. Is
Oh my
that
gosh.
You can go about your business.
Yeah.
He didn't use the Force, though. I thought the same thing. I thought he was going to go, I'm not the Jedi you're looking for. Like, I literally thought it was going to be like that level. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. He's going to use the Force. Nope. They just get off the ship. They just get off the little transport. I'm just like, this isn't even like Disney Channel dumb. This would be like, my kids would think this is dumb. Like when my kids were like 6 watching shows. I don't know if you guys have any kids that are, I know, Brandon, you mentioned, it's like when your kid was like watching something and they're like, hey, Dad, that doesn't make sense. Like your kids are picking up things. It's like so blatantly dumb. I don't even know how to put it into words. It's
Pack-led stormtroopers.
Well, and
Pretty
and
much.
To be quite honest, it's like I still remember being a kid. I don't remember acting. I mean, we all acted like kids, but not to that level. Holy crap! I've seen so many comments in other places where it's like, oh, this she's exactly the way my such and such child or whatever. She acts with no fear, and I'm thinking, really, that seems very manufactured. No fear to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference between actually running around with no fear versus, you know, if I saw like people going after me, if I were a kid, I don't know, I would. It's just so it's so fake. It seems so cheap and fake, and it didn't make sense, and it wasn't real. I mean, I know it's fiction, but still, you need to be able to have that way to bring in your audience to be feeling like you're in the actual world, and I didn't feel that at all.
She's supposed to be a princess, right? So there should be that you look to the real world and go, well, how do, you know, real royalty raise their children? You would never see them behaving like that. They would be taught from onset, this is the way you behave because you're a princess. And someday you're going to do great things, and you are training for that all your life.
Right.
You know, no, we're gonna make her just like, you know, something that every commoner can relate to, and that's a problem.
It's actually worse than that. It's actually worse than that, Troy, because she gets that speech from Bail Organa, and the speech is not bad. And then the next scene, she runs off.
So she literally understands the lesson,
rebel.
And then
literally the rebel. Yes. Oh, I kid you
yeah.
not. It's that dumb. I kid you not. It's that dumb. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I didn't take in things that my parents said to me when I was 10 years old, and it, you know, takes a little bit to kind of get to that point. But it's kind of like.
I think it's part of the reason they made her 9 or 10. Like, it's a little too old for the behavior that they're going for. Like, if they're going for the behavior at 9 or 10, it's like, no, you would behave better than this and by 9 or 10. I mean, you would have been whooped into shape by then. If you're going to behave this way as a 5 or 6 year old, that would make more sense. Like, nothing I say to you is going to get through. You're still just going to behave erratically. But by 9 or 10, you start behaving like this. Now we got a problem, because then you got to fast forward to the, you know, 12, 13, 14 rebellious teens, like, you know, but it's just nothing makes sense. The whole thing is messed. Okay, so we've run long with. Oh God, we could just keep going because it makes my head hurt. It's so bad.
It's a good job they blew the planet up so she wouldn't be responsible for it.
Oh my
gosh. As a thought, everyone kind of recommends one good thing to help balance things out.
Please, let's go around the horn and go. Ironcaster, your idea. You start. Give us something positive to leave on. Give us something. You have a list. We did a whole show last night about this kind of fun stuff.
Well, I think in kind of anticipation for some things coming up, one of my favorite movies that I can recommend, Tremors.
Yes.
Ooh, there you go.
We're going to do an analysis and a
Great
breakdown next Wednesday.
It's almost like I planned that out.
Yes, you did. Look at you. You're so fun. So yeah, Loki and Ironcaster and I will be doing our Tuesday night show. We're going to have some fun as a retrospective. I'm not going to call it a reaction or review, just a retrospective on Tremors and a little RIP for Fred Ward, because that's kind of what birthed that movie choice a little bit. So we'll have some fun trying to do that on Wednesday night, 5:30 Eastern time, start time here on Pops. So look at Ironcaster, man, earning it. He's doing it, man.
There you go,
beast. Brandon, what about you, man? What can we? What would we like? Listen, if we haven't seen it, or maybe we just need a positive dose after some negativity. What would be something you throw out there, man?
Oh man, pretty much anything anime related is always a good watch. Like what was shared by Ironcaster there.
Yes. He's on brand. I mean, we can't really dog him. I mean,
that's
right. He's on brand.
If you haven't, go back and watch Gundam. Start with the original UC universe from 79 on forward. You will not regret it. As far as new, I hear a little birdie told me that they were finally getting an anime adaptation of Bastard. That is a big one.
Okay.
So it's on Netflix. So hopefully
it's going to land on Netflix. That was my question. Where's it going to land? So okay.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. But
next week,
just keep your. What was that?
What is it supposed to be like next week? Like really
it's soon. It's this month. So and tonight you cannot forget the Orville. Yes, the Orville.
Oh, yes. Orville's back. Okay. Yeah. We didn't mention Orville, and I will say I am late to the party, and I ran into Orville fanatics. I will not mention them by name. PJ. Who basically
we were all thinking it.
This is so great because my whole world's just changing. Like I've always Ryan's teasing me all the time. The alternate media thing. I hear everything you say, Mr. Blooper. I got it.
Yeah.
I've done bloopers way worse than you. I did a whole ad read and had all the names wrong. Not what it said on paper.
Doing this longer than I've been alive, Pop.
Well, I don't know about that. At least semi-professional to like 2003. Like in some way, shape, or form, reading, writing, radio, something. It's been
Nearly 20 years.
professional for 20. Yeah, because 2003 was probably the first time it got like for realsy. Like oh wow, this is like a legit thing. I like have like a pass and I have like responsibilities. But yeah. So I've been watching Orville, and I will say, man, I'm ready to do like some Orville episode analysis because I'm on like season 1 episodes, like 3, 4, 5 or so. I forget which ones they are for sure. They are super deep, especially in hindsight. Like 2017, you're basically having a transgender / circumcision /
About a
gender.
Girl was a good episode.
That is a freaking great episode. And I'm like, so I had never done Orville. No fan of Seth MacFarlane, really. My wife just doesn't like him at all. So that kind of cuts down half the viewing options right there. It's like, oh, she didn't watch it. But I'm loving it. I will not catch up in time for the premiere, which is tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's the premiere?
Tonight.
Late
tonight, early tomorrow. Yeah. Here's what I will say about Orville. The first episode's Seth MacFarlane humor. It gets toned down. Once it's toned down, it really takes off, and you can see it because Seth MacFarlane is a massive, huge, mega Star Trek nerd, even to the point of being an Enterprise, and he's also a massive, huge Star Wars nerd. So you get the little things here and there where they pull from that, and it works.
It does work well. So, and Chris chime in. My chat stuff did not work. I don't know what's going on here. What's wrong with seeing Obi-Wan about to catch Leia only to have her 100-yard lead in the next scene? Climbs a ladder. Yep, and then. Yes. Orville continues Friday morning Eastern time. Okay. All right. So, yes, plug in the Orville. Orville's an option there. All right. What about Troy? What should we all take a positive dose of?
Again, the old guy. So I would really encourage the younger people to look back at some of the stuff that's gone before. Especially as you guys are talking about things like Maverick and the 80s nostalgia of Stranger Things. We're starting to lose a lot of great talent. You're doing Tremors, which I actually did a couple weeks back. But this Friday I'll be doing a rewatch on my channel to celebrate Ray Liotta. I haven't decided yet. I've got a poll up on my MeWe group. It's either going to be Field of Dreams or Goodfellas. Goodfellas is winning right now by 1 vote. So may very well be Goodfellas.
Yeah, that would be my vote. That'd be my vote. I love that.
But
movie. Not that I dislike Field of Dreams, but I enjoy Goodfellas.
And let's face it, Goodfellas is much more a Ray Liotta film.
Yes, it's more really Ray Liotta centric. Yes.
It's just I was thinking Field of Dreams would just get. Even the tough guys get a little weepy at the end of that movie, It's true. So there you got 2 great recommendations right there.
And it's funny you bring up Maverick and stuff. Mm-hmm. Stranger Things is season 4 is set in 1986, and that's when Top Gun came out. So I was hoping for a theater reference in the background or something.
Yeah, that would have been some good synergy, right?
I keep hoping. Maybe they're working on these other episodes, so maybe that'll just be in there.
True.
Ryan, what positive thing can you recommend, or something we should like? Listen, you guys just take this. You need a break, something positive. What can you recommend?
Well, I'm probably going to annoy some people with my suggestions. I suggest, folks, you go and watch some films that back in the day were considered quite bad, from actors such as Steven Seagal and Kevin Spacey. That's truly bad film. I tell you, they're guilty pleasures for me, folks. I love watching films with Steven Seagal in them.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Funny. And Kevin Spacey, I know he's quite a sketchy dude, but I love him as an actor. I just don't want him anywhere near my bum.
We'll have to have an endpoint. I'll share a Kevin Spacey story that I know about. But yeah, Usual Suspects. We can recommend that one.
Oh yeah,
Mags. What are you going to throw out there as a recommendation?
Well, I have 2 things.
Awesome.
One thing I am going to try to. I've gotten a setup. I just need to get another monitor to help me out with things. But I'm going to be working on my first video talking about a really good movie that I like and it's a tribute to Father's Day. And that movie is a classic film called Desperate Hours with Humphrey Bogart, and I forget the Frederick March, I think, as also another lead. But Very good movie. It's about these escapees from prison who are, of course, terrible people. And they end up taking over a suburbia home and kind of hold a family hostage. And it basically shows how a father does his best to protect his family. And it's a really good movie. But anyway, it's a black and white. So I love the old films. So those are good films. If you really want a good cleansed palette for good storytelling, go back to the old films.
Frederick March. You were so close. Frederick March. 1955.
Yep, thank you. And then the second thing is I am going to be doing a watch party of Gina Carano's Terror on the Prairie in my Gilded server. So if anybody wants to join my Gilded server, I should probably let the link out there. Let me see if I can do that. But yes, I'll be doing that on the 14th, which is premiering that night. I'm still waiting on the details of the time because I have not seen anything yet. But yeah, something to look forward to that's actually different as far as not the typical Hollywood media crowd. So woohoo. And plus we want to support Gina Carano because she was part of that situation where they canceled her and received death threats and just awful. So
yeah, I don't know if you guys should grab that link if it's there. The comments just freeze. I'm down to Troy's comment and the regular comment. It will not let me scroll down more. It's just weird. It's stuck. It's like it's stuck. So if you see it, put the comment. Yeah, I think it'd be great. I'd love to get that. It is for me. I just enjoy just old. I mean, I can live in the 80s, man. I'm such a I guess the monetization thing kind of woke me up that I kind of like have to get to a different kind of seriousness about doing all this. Like, well, I could actually make a nickel again. Like it's been so long because I was making nickels. Like we have a whole channel and we'll get excited about our views on it. It's like you get the thing, it's like $27 and you're like, oh Jesus, for $27.
Yay, money.
Like, we could just not
figure.
We could just not do a business lunch and make we could just not spend $27.
Well, my budget, guys, is 0. So if I make a penny, that's
again,
profit. I
I was not trying to complain about making $27, but it's like when you're throwing just a ton of man hours, you have to go, all right, well, it's different. And for current YouTube, it financially is like trying to get to a certain point so that you can, have membership and you can have super chats and you can do things that can at least speed the process along. And then you can buy a better microphone and maybe an extra camera so that I don't have the weird flipping camera angles like I did last night trying to show off stuff because it was a mess. It was a complete debacle, whatever. But
man, I did it backwards then.
We had a good time.
Because I haven't made all the investment and haven't made any money yet.
Oh, yeah. Well, I did that too.
Like
oh, yeah. Look at you. You're getting faster at switching.
Well, I haven't put a penny into what I've been doing, so.
You can see. It's toys. Nice.
I love this hot rod.
A car transformer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I've kind of done the same thing, Brandon. I put a lot of money into it first before even doing anything.
Well, listen, I wasn't not trying to complain because I did that wrong too. That's part of what held all this up was because on the other channels, I bought real camera, real mic stand. You can see the mic stand. I've had it out last night because I was trying to get the other camera thing over here. In these crates is extra equipment that I'm not using. I actually got stuff for my dog because basically it's all like it's too high end of a camera to do this. It won't stream, so it didn't do me any good. I had to kind of start all over again, basically. Oof. So, I've done it wrong. Done it all wrong. Oh, right down the road. So, yeah, I'll show off my last night thing because you showed off toys. We'll show one thing. We busted on camera live an actual pack of trading cards from 1982. My love, my passion. Tron.
Nice. Look at that.
This was one of the cards that was in that pack.
My favorite part of it was still cracking the gum.
Oh yes, there's still some gum here. I mean, you want the gum? Want the gum experience? He loves this. He's ready.
This is the best part.
I wish you could get that gum. Where?
I think you're ill. I think you're ill if you want to chew that gum. Actually, I joked.
No, not that old. I mean, like now.
Because there was a joke, because there's a thing called spite funding where you'll pay for people to do things they don't really want to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see, $50 if I chew that gum. And then when we opened it and I started, I snapped it. I was like, I don't know that I can chew. Like, I don't know if I can get it malleable enough to even chew it. Like, it just maybe just nasty gum stuff in my mouth. I'm not sure
there's enough saliva in your body.
Yeah, I don't know. It literally is that rigid. It's so hard. So.
Oh, there is one more show I can recommend.
Yes, please.
It's a children's show, but I'm amazed that it is a children's show. It's a show called Rasta Mouse, which is about a group of Jamaican mice that solve crimes and rat out criminals, because they're all English-speaking Jamaican mice, and their theme song, I quite like it. So Rasta Mouse.
I'm putting the link there for Mag's Gilded server, so if you want to join that, that would be an amazing way to get over there and connect with Max. So Pacific's telling me very nice. Is that the card or the gum? Not even sure anymore. So Goss says the same thing. Pacific's pointing out Hot Rod. Yeah. So all right, folks, listen, it has been awesome. It has been a ton of fun, man. I could just keep going and doing all this kind of stuff. So thank you all for doing all that. If I had to say anything to you guys, let me just say a little thank you to you guys. I'll say goodbye and say, listen, go out there, make tomorrow better than today. Be true to yourself and talk hard. Let's let Bob Ross take us.
I'm Ross. All I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross. I be too calm for the drama. You don't wanna cause a problem, I'll solve it, Bob